Well, for more than a decade, Kate Fall was one of David Cameron's closest advisors, considered to be one of the most influential women in British politics. She witnessed firsthand some of the biggest events of our time, including, of course, 2 general elections, 3 referendums. Baroness Fall, as she has now become known as a gatekeeper, the name of her new book about her time in Downing Street. And she's with me now. Welcome to you. It's written in the present tense, so is it a diary? Is this what you wrote at the time, or was this a reconstruction?
No, it was a reconstruction, but I wrote it in the present tense because I wanted it to feel immediate and to get the reader to feel the sort of the events at the time.
And what was your job, effectively, with David Cameron?
So my job, I was partly CEO of Number 10 along with Ed Llewellyn, and we worked closely with the officials, and a close advisor to the Prime Minister. But another one of my roles was the gatekeeper, as they call, which is an important job about how the Prime Minister prioritises their time, the people who are in the room when the key decisions are made, and to a certain extent the sort of atmosphere of the House. You know, is there a bunker mentality? Is the gate always shut? Is it allowed to be open? And
this is it's a personal thing, really. I mean, people watch Game of Thrones, of course, it's like being the hand of the king or something like that.
Well, I think Michael Gove thought he was hand of the king, but right. Whichever character I was. Yes, it is very personal, and all Number 10s are personal to the person in charge. The atmosphere of a Number 10 tends to come from the Premier, from the Prime Minister.
I mean, and the problem, which you go into in the book is, in a sense, it all, Enoch Powell proved right again. It all ended in failure of the referendum.
Well, look, I think politics, in the end, you leave Number 10, and therefore there's a moment when you feel there is a failure. Look, I believe that the referendum was coming to British politics, and it was, I believe, in the democratic process of asking the question to the public. I regret that we didn't win the argument, but that both.
I mean, given the national trauma which is thrown up, it could be argued that a more skilled leader would have found a way of sidestepping it, a bit like Tony Blair did.
Well, I don't think that's a skill. I think that's not leadership. I think leadership...
Well, handing it over to the people is not leadership,
well, leadership, it is, because in the end, are you never going to allow the public to answer a question about one of the most important relationships we have? I think pushing important issues under the carpet and hoping they go away adds to grievance, and I don't think that shows political leadership. So I think dodging that issue isn't a good thing.
So you think the country's better for having had that referendum, do you?
I think the referendum was coming. I personally campaigned on the other side, but our side lost, and I think there is a sense of closure, and I think everyone in Britain, at least most people, me personally, feels, the boat's moved on and let's all get together and make the best of it.
And you say in the book, I mean, you make it clear that you think you lost because of Boris Johnson.
No, I didn't say that in the book. I didn't say that at all. Of course,
I've just read the bit about, who's going to support you. Michael Gove you can live with, Boris Johnson, well, look, you felt was one of you and you felt betrayed.
Well, no, Boris Johnson is a very talented politician, and having Michael Gove's intellect and Boris's charisma on the other side of a campaign was formidable, and turned out, they won. So, part of the reason why we failed was they had very good people putting forward very strong arguments.
But you didn't feel, on the basis of what Boris Johnson was saying to you, what he was saying to David Cameron, you didn't feel that he was really sincere in being a leader?
I felt that he was swayed. I thought he hadn't decided which way, and I thought one of the important reasons why he was swayed to the other side was he was thinking about, his journey to Number 10.
And that was his motive, really, for going for it, too?
One of his motives. I mean, look, Boris has always been pro-reform in Europe. He's written extensively ever since he was a sort of young adult about how Europe should change. At that moment, I believe that a hugely influential argument for him going to leave was also weighing up the opportunities. And
I mean, this book does confirm, the criticisms from the outside that the Cameron government really was a kind of chumocracy, that you all knew each other socially, you had similar backgrounds. In the case of the boys, a lot of them had been to Eton and all the rest of it. I mean, was a pretty closed, privileged circle, wasn't it?
No, I mean, I don't think that's true. I think what I say in the book is that all prime ministers have inner circles around them. You know, after we left, Theresa May had an inner circle, Boris Johnson we read about every day, about Dom Cummings. And part of that is that inner circle creates a momentum in the early days.
The difference is that quite often prime ministers construct that inner circle from people that they didn't necessarily know that well before. But in your case, you were all mates, basically.
No, we weren't mates. We met through politics. In fact, the people who were at Number 10 with David Cameron was a wide group of people. Amit Gill, Liz Sugg, Gabby Burton were all people who came to the team later, Craig Oliver. But there were a few of us who knew each other not through school and university, but through working at Conservative Research Department, that great institution of the Conservative Party.
So you deny it was a bit...
It was a political inner circle, not a mate's political circle.
And what happens now to the legacy of Cameron? I mean, it's pretty shocking, really, isn't it?
Well, look, I think David Cameron was an excellent Prime Minister. He restored our finances at a time when the nation was really in a bad way. He was a reformist. He believed in equality. He stood by the world's poor. Yes, for now, you remember David Cameron for the referendum and the divisions over the last few years. But I think the referendum was the right call, and I hope he will be remembered.
And walking away immediately after the referendum, was that the right thing?
Staying in Number 10 after you lose an argument about how you want your nation to go is a bit like staying in Number 10 after losing a general election. And I think we all know from politics that that wasn't an achievable aim. Even if he wanted to, he would have been forced out in a matter of weeks.
OK, Kate Fall, thank you very much indeed. Her book is called The Gatekeeper, Life at the Heart of Number 10. Nice to see you.
Thank you.